Charter for Northern Ireland exists to enable, equip and empower communities to benefit from social and economic regeneration. Charter is very much part of the pathway to peace, with the conflict now very much in the past. Our Charter process of conflict transformation, delivered through our 4 strategic aims, which are employment and training, children and young people, community safety and cohesion, and the development of cultural pathways. Our work is funded by many agencies, including the Community Relations Council, the Policing and Community Safety Partnership, the Housing Executive, the government offices of the Department for Communities and the Executive Office, Ards and North Down Borough Council, Belfast City Council, the International Committee of the Red Cross, the Public Health Agency and the European Social Fund. My name is David Stitt, and I have the honour of being Chief Executive Officer of Charter for Northern Ireland, with the responsibility for leading the delivery of its strategic aims. In short, we are empowering loyalist working class communities and helping them grow strong in a new, regenerated Northern Ireland. Education is the heart of what we do. My father's family were moved out of the Short Strand in 1969 at gunpoint by the Provisional IRA. My father then met my mother, and they got married and they had 2 children. Plenty of love in our house. My mother was a Christian woman. She was a Sunday school teacher, so we were brought up with Christian values in our house, and there was always plenty of love in our house. My father worked all his days, worked in the shipyard. He went on to work in shorts, and my mother and father were married for over 40 years. My father, during his time in the shipyard, was in contact with asbestosis, and subsequently that led on to having lung cancer, and he died 4 years ago. When I got out of prison over 20 years ago, I married my wife. We're married now for coming up to 20 years. We have 3 lovely children, 3 girls. A grandfather as well, I have a granddaughter. And family's really important to me. I went to Tullycarna Primary School. That's where I lived. I lived in Tullycarna Housing Estate. So I spent my early years at Tullycarna Primary School, and a really enjoyable time at the school. Really fun, good times, good memories there. And I warmed the education. I enjoyed it. Then I went on to Dundonald Boys High, and I spent 5 years there, and I was very, very engaged in education up to the 3rd year of my education, when we did our mock exams and we were assessed for education. I was a top 10 student in every category in the school, excelled in sciences and English and maths. When I came to 4th and 5th year, I started getting distracted by the conflict, and my focus wasn't really on my education at that particular time. Obviously, I didn't have enough time to spend and focus my journey on education when I was at school, secondary school. But whenever I got the opportunity to get involved in adult education, whenever I got out of prison, I grabbed it with both hands. We were driving within Charter a community education ethos. I got engaged in that myself. I went along that pathway of community education. I reskilled myself, and I did my O-levels and A-levels at community level, which led me on to university. I did an access course called an APEL, which enabled me to qualify to take an honours degree in social science, and I studied social science with honours in community development for 4 years, and I graduated in 2012. Once you create that pathway within an organisation and within a community, and you promote education as the way forward and the way out of poverty, our staff automatically went down that pathway. All of our staff are university graduates, and they've all come from a conflict background. Charter itself is an organisation that works with the ethos of conflict transformation. We promote conflict transformation with communities coming out of conflict. A working example of our project's delivery would be the Diamond Project. That project is working in loyalist working class area of Lord Street. It's engaging in communities involved in the project and community planning processes. They are involved in working with the statutory agencies in their local area, and that project, because it has community planning and people are involved in the decision making processes that's part of their lives, it really works, and it has turned that area around. It's socially and economically regenerated that whole area and made people's lives a better place in that area. People say that I'm a UDA leader, but that's in my past. My past is firmly in my past. Charter NI is my future. This is my future. I would agree with people. I am a leader. I'm a leader for education. I'm a leader for jobs. I'm a leader for working class communities. I'm a leader for the youth out there. That's where I lead. It's making a big difference. That is the reality for our communities. When people like me, coming from a past that I came from, work in this environment and promote this environment as a good way to go for our communities, that's the way forward. Forward all the way, never look back. 20 years ago, we were in a bad place, and through our education and our focus within Charter, it's progressed me as a person and made me the person I am today. Power is a good thing, as long as it's used in a good way. I was using power in a negative way in the past, but I'm using a good power, a positive power in the future. This is who I am now, a man of peace. Wars in the past, and I promote peace. I'm part of the peace process. I promote the peace process. I'm fully engaged in the peace process. Peace is the way forward. Who would want to go back to that, what we had in the past? That's no good for our children. We have to give our children a future where they can live and prosper. There is no role as a military organisation for the UDA anymore. The gun has been taken out of politics within loyalism for 7 years now. The UDA, the military organisation, is in the past, firmly in the past. But we need that structure needs help to go through a transformational process. It needs help to go away. And the governments need to help that organisation go through a transitional process to go away. We are planning within Charter, because of our unique role and our relationship with that organisation. We're a conflict transformation organisation. That's what we do. You can't help an organisation go through a transitional process without links to that organisation. That's what we do. We read it in our strategic plans. We read it in our annual reports. It's no secret, our relationship with that organisation. I have been accused of being a drug dealer. And I say, how can that be? I have a relationship with the police in all our local areas that we work. And that relationship is a planning relationship with community safety projects. And as part of that process, I give confidence to the local communities to pass information on about drug dealers in the local areas to the police. As a working example of that, a local community representative engaged with a member of the community. They gave us a ring. I facilitated the handover of £20,000 worth of methadone to the local Bangor police. That's a working example of what we do. Drugs is wrong, and I'm firmly against drug dealing within our areas. The Social Investment Fund was a process that was established by the government, and we in Charter were involved in that process. I sat on a steering group that managed millions of pounds for the government. We were part of that process. I was part of that process. I didn't design the process. And out of that process, I personally, and we in Charter, brought £3 million in the loyalist working class communities. And if I was asked to do that again, I would do it again every day, because that's my job, for bringing money into loyalist working class communities. The outcomes of that project, the employability project, is 300 people availing of training within East Belfast and a flexible bursary scheme. That training consists of from CSR cards right up to supporting people in the university. That's what that training actually does. The second part of the programme is jobs, real jobs. We're going to support 100 people into a job setting, a paid role within a workplace. And that's the other part of the programme. The third part of the programme is business startup. We are going to support 35 local businesses from zero to startup, and also as a caveat to that is also a bursary to help them start their business up of £1,500. The fourth part of the programme is an employers forum. So local employers and local employers in East Belfast are part of a forum that's feeding into that project. So the opportunities within their workplaces, we're utilising those opportunities, we're placing people into their workplaces, and therefore the outcome of that is hopefully they're going to get a job at the end of it. But they're going to be paid for the first 6 months through that process. Let's talk about the projects in North Down. And the famous project is a 3G pitch that is going to be delivered in Kilcooley. It's going to be built in Kilcooley. And that in itself, was close to £1 million project, which Charter was involved in representing that project. The project itself, Charter doesn't lead on it, it's the Kilcooley Community Forum that leads on that project. That 3G pitch has been 7 years in the making with the local community down there. And the local community forum that's leading on the project and is going to be delivering the project is a forum of groups, all local community groups, churches, women's groups, local community groups. That's who the Kilcooley Community Forum is. That's who's leading on the project. It's not me, it's not Charter NI. We represented the project, that was it. And there are other projects in North Down which I represented also. One of those being the Community House Renovation Scheme. And that consists of all the local community houses in North Down and in Ards utilising a renovation scheme to renovate their premises. The other project there was a large early intervention project working in all the schools in North Down and Ards, helping kids from nursery age right to the end of primary school age. And that's a project that's working in our schools and it's benefiting our schools for the next 3 years. Can I stress the decisions that were made around the Social Investment Fund steering groups was a corporate one made by statutory agencies and local community together. The audit trail itself is there for the public to see. PricewaterhouseCoopers audit charter for Northern Ireland, along with all the rest of the government departments. We are stringently audited and we pass with flying colours every time and we're proud of that. I think the peace process has been built from the bottom up, and us within loyalist communities and Republican communities have been driving that process from the bottom up. We ourselves have been working with Republican communities now for quite some time, building relationships up, humanising each other again, and doing that cross-community work. It's essential to build peace and prosperity here in Northern Ireland. I think they need to take a leaf out of our book here on the ground and use that in Stormont to build our future. Politics is part of our life in Northern Ireland. I'm a really political person and I feel strongly about the political situation now in Northern Ireland. Big opinions on it. But at the minute, no, I definitely wouldn't go into politics at the minute. But maybe in the future, I wouldn't definitely not rule it out. The interview in The Guardian. The title of the interview was Loyalist View on Brexit. And if you look at the interview, there's no talk of Brexit in the interview at all. It in itself, I gave a sit down, 25-minute interview about Brexit, about social housing, about schools, about immigration, about austerity. A really good nuts and bolts interview about Brexit. The piece that they did publish was all outtakes. All outtakes where we were in a flute band in our local flute band's meeting. 40, 50 guys having a laugh and a joke in that environment. And that's where we were. And all those clips that you see, they were all taken out of context, flippant remarks. Half the time we didn't know they were filming us. And that was the context of the interview. The bottom line is the girl that came to do the interview, she made me and the flute band promises that she would notify us whenever that was going online. And, she said that she would give us a balanced view. And she didn't portray us very, very well. She gave where's the Brexit interview? Homeland Security. Whenever you hear it and whenever I heard it, I laughed at it because it was a flippant remark. Kids with flutes and drums. It's hardly an antagonistic and militaristic thing. We were having a laugh and a joke about Donald Trump at that time, and it was edited, very, very wrongly and edited against me. and I've learnt a lesson, and a hard lesson at that. I apologise for all those remarks that was published online, and I hope that they're now put in the past, and hopefully I can move on in the future. I see the future for Charter being bright. If we are left alone to do our work, it will be bright. The only times that we get pulled back into that negative stereotyping, it deflects us from the work that we really do on the ground. We have good staff here in Charter. As long as we get support from local government and local councils, we will continue to deliver for loyalist working class communities. The future for me, I see the future for me as a bright one, God willing, to lead Charter, to lead our working class communities through that educational journey, and to lead them out, let them get off their knees, onto their feet, and let them get a job, help them get a job, help them get new housing, be a voice for the voiceless within our communities. That's what the future is for us. The future for Northern Ireland, I think, could be bright, very bright, because we are a good people at the end of the day. Both communities, Republic and Loyalist communities, are good people. They came from good backgrounds, working class, we've got that at our heart. And if we can keep building relationships up on the ground and keep working together, it'll be a brighter future for Northern Ireland. Hopefully the peace walls can come down. We can start having integrated education systems, and that in itself will cement our future for our kids and our children.